Everyone fears Zeus. Everyone respects Hades. But the most genuinely dangerous god in all of Greek mythology, the one who caused the most destruction, created the most monsters, started the most conflicts, and held the longest grudges, is the one nobody talks about. His name is Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. And his story will make you understand why ancient sailors were absolutely terrified of the ocean. Poseidon was one of the three sons of the Titans Cronus and Rhea, swallowed by his father, freed by his brother Zeus, and then given dominion over the seas after the Olympians defeated the Titans. When the three brothers divided the universe, Zeus took the sky, Hades took the underworld, and Poseidon took the seas. But Poseidon's domain was far more extensive than just ocean water. He controlled all water, rivers, springs, floods. He controlled earthquakes. The ancient Greeks called him the Earthshaker because they believed earthquakes were caused by his trident striking the earth. And he controlled horses. He was said to have created the first horse. 3 domains, each one capable of total destruction. Poseidon's home was a magnificent palace deep beneath the ocean, built of coral, gold, and precious gems. His wife was Amphitrite, a sea goddess, who he had to chase for years before she agreed to marry him. He had a massive chariot pulled by hippocampus, creatures half horse, half fish, that could travel across the ocean's surface faster than any ship. His court was filled with sea creatures, sea nymphs, and sea gods. When Poseidon was content, the seas were calm. Ships sailed safely. Fish were plentiful. But Poseidon was rarely content for long. He was proud, vengeful, and possessed of a temper that could shake the earth itself. Poseidon and Zeus had one of the most complex relationships in mythology. Brothers who respected each other's power but frequently clashed over dominance. Poseidon was the only Olympian besides Hera who consistently challenged Zeus's authority. In one famous account, Poseidon, Hera, and Athena actually conspired to chain Zeus and overthrow him. They bound the king of gods while he slept. Zeus was only freed when the sea nymph Thetis brought the 100-armed giant Briareus to his rescue. Poseidon nearly became king of all gods, and Zeus never forgot it. Though he never openly punished his brother, the tension between them defined both their stories. The most famous contest Poseidon ever lost was for the city of Athens. The citizens of the greatest city in Greece needed a patron god and held a contest. Both Poseidon and Athena wanted the honor. The terms were simple. Each god would give the city a gift. The citizens would choose which gift was more useful. Poseidon struck his trident into the Acropolis. A magnificent spring burst forth, the first saltwater spring in Greece. It was breathtaking. Then Athena struck her spear into the earth. An olive tree grew. The citizens deliberated. Salt water was useless for drinking or farming, but an olive tree, with its food, oil, wood, and economic value, was infinitely practical. Athens chose Athena. Poseidon's response was to flood the Attic plain in rage. The city that chose wisdom over power would know his displeasure. Poseidon was one of the most prolific creators of monsters in all of mythology. His children and creations included some of the most terrifying beings ever described. Polyphemus, the Cyclops who trapped Odysseus, was Poseidon's son. The Minotaur, born of Poseidon's sacred bull and the Cretan queen, was technically Poseidon's creation. Scylla and Charybdis, the twin sea monsters who terrorized sailors in the Straits of Messina, existed with Poseidon's blessing. Even the great sea monster Cetus, sent to devour Andromeda, was Poseidon's instrument. When Poseidon wanted someone punished, he didn't do it himself. He sent something worse. The longest grudge Poseidon ever held was against Odysseus. After the Trojan War, Odysseus blinded Poseidon's son Polyphemus the Cyclops. Polyphemus prayed to his father, and Poseidon answered. For 10 years, a journey that should have taken weeks, Poseidon threw every obstacle in Odysseus's path. Storms that destroyed his ships, monsters at every passage, being blown backwards when he was within sight of home. Poseidon kept Odysseus from his family for a decade. Not because of a great crime, but because a man had blinded his son and failed to show proper remorse. Poseidon's vengeance was patient, creative, and total. One of Poseidon's greatest creations was the horse, which he made from ocean waves. In the original myth, when Poseidon struck his trident on the earth and created his spring for Athens, what actually came out first was a horse. The citizens were amazed, but ultimately chose the olive tree. Horses became sacred to Poseidon. Horse racing, horse breeding, and chariot racing were all done in his honor. The connection between the sea and horses, both wild, both powerful, both capable of beauty and destruction, was central to his divine identity. He was not just the god of the sea. He was the god of untamed natural power in all its forms. Poseidon's relationship with Troy was complex and tragic. He had actually built the walls of Troy himself, along with Apollo, when the gods were temporarily stripped of their divine status and forced to serve as mortals. King Laomedon of Troy then refused to pay them after they completed the walls. Poseidon's response was devastating. He sent a sea monster to ravage Troy, requiring the sacrifice of the king's own daughter Hesione. Only the intervention of Hercules saved her. Years later, during the Trojan War itself, Poseidon sided with the Greeks against the city whose walls he had built. Why? Because Troy had not paid him. Poseidon's memory for debts and disrespect was as vast and deep as his ocean. Like Zeus, Poseidon had countless affairs and relationships that resulted in remarkable offspring. His son Trident, half man, half fish, became the herald of the seas, blowing his conch shell to calm or raise the waves. His son Proteus could see the future and shapeshift constantly to avoid being questioned. His son Orion, the great hunter, was born when Poseidon and two other gods visited a poor shepherd. When the Pleiades rejected Orion's love, Zeus placed both Orion and the Pleiades among the stars. Every time you look at the constellation Orion, you are looking at Poseidon's son. The sea god is written in the night sky. The ancient Greeks genuinely feared Poseidon in a way that was practical and immediate. Every sailor poured wine into the sea before departure, offering to Poseidon. Every fisherman prayed to him before casting nets. Every coastal city maintained his temples not from devotion but from necessity. Earthquakes, which destroyed entire cities without warning, were explained as Poseidon striking his trident in displeasure. Tsunamis were Poseidon's wrath made physical. The sea, which gave Greece its wealth through trade and fish, could also destroy everything in moments. Poseidon was not a distant theological concept. He was the most immediate and real divine threat in every Greek person's daily life. Poseidon's worst moments reveal a god of spectacular pettiness. When the people of Argos chose Hera as their patron over him, he dried up all the rivers and springs in the region, leaving the entire population without water. When the Trojans didn't pay him, he sent a monster to eat their princess. When Odysseus blinded his son, he tormented one man for a decade. When Minos of Crete kept his sacred bull instead of sacrificing it, Poseidon made the king's wife fall in love with the bull, resulting in the Minotaur. Poseidon was not evil. He was something perhaps more dangerous. A god of immense power whose emotional regulation was roughly equivalent to a very powerful, very spoiled child. Here's something remarkable. Almost everything the ancient Greeks attributed to Poseidon has a real scientific explanation that shows how observant they were. Earthquakes, actually caused by tectonic plate movement near the ocean floor, often triggered by underwater fault lines. Tsunamis, literally created by underwater earthquakes, exactly where Poseidon was said to live. The horse connection, modern science suggests horses may have evolved near coastal grasslands, which ancient populations observed. Even the relationship between the moon and tides, which Poseidon also governed, is scientifically accurate. The ancient Greeks didn't understand plate tectonics, but they were right that the ocean and the earthquakes were connected. 3 shocking facts about Poseidon. 1. Poseidon was worshipped before Zeus in many parts of ancient Greece. In the earliest Greek religion, before Zeus became dominant, Poseidon may have been the supreme god. Some scholars believe the original Greek supreme deity was the sea, not the sky. 2. The name Poseidon may mean husband of earth, connecting him not just to the sea but to the earth itself. 3. Poseidon appears in the Linear B tablets, the oldest written Greek language, dating to 1400 BCE, making him one of the oldest documented deities in Greek religion. He was there before most of the other Olympians were even named. Poseidon teaches us something that every person who has ever been near the ocean understands instinctively. That some forces in this universe are not interested in our convenience, our prayers, or our respect. The sea does not care about our plans. Earthquakes do not wait for a good time. The ancient Greeks understood this, and they created Poseidon to give that terrifying truth a face and a name. Sometimes the most important thing wisdom can teach us is which forces demand our respect not because they deserve it, but because ignoring them has consequences we cannot survive. Now you know the complete story of Poseidon, the most dangerous god nobody respects. Who should we cover next? Athena, who defeated him in Athens, or Zeus, his brother he almost overthrew? Drop your vote. Follow MythosVerse. See you in the next legend.